Greetings everyone. In this episode I'm going to go ahead and take you through my Piper Tomahawk. As I mentioned, I purchased this aircraft about 3 years ago and its designator is PA38-112. It is powered by a Lycoming 0235 engine, and this engine has an STC for 125 horsepower, which is 13 horsepower more than the typical Tomahawk engine. As I mentioned, this aircraft was designed by Piper specifically for flight training. One of the key characteristics that instructors wanted was an aircraft that actually required positive control inputs to recover from a spin, which is also what gave it its nickname of a Piper Tomahawk. You'll also notice 360-degree visibility with these wraparound windows. One of the nice things about this aircraft is it's well laid out. You can see there the fuel control panel is all in clear view, right next to the throttle and mixture controls. It's a pretty wide cabin for its size, and it also can carry 100 pounds in the back there. So one of the first things I did was upgrade the panels, so let's go inside and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to go through some of my instrumentation that I've upgraded the aircraft with in a little bit here, but before I do that, I just wanted to show the entire upgrade that I did. So you can see that here. I'm going to walk through everything in just a moment, but for some context, this was what the original instrument panel looked like. A lot of it was original equipment. There were a couple upgrades along the way, but needless to say, the aircraft is in a much better place today than it was a few years ago. So going from left to right, I'm just going to walk through what I installed. So on the left there is an AV20 multi-purpose display. Right now it's tracking time, but it also can show angle of attack. It can give you voltage readouts as well as provide a backup attitude indicator. In the center is my pair of GI-275s. Right now what you're seeing is it in its normal mode, so it basically looks like a normal attitude indicator with just the blue and brown to depict the air and ground. But once the GPS gets up to date and then it can feed the location information into the GI-275, it incorporates synthetic vision. And that just occurred right now. In the center there is a JPI EDM 730, so that is my engine monitor, and so that's what helps just with leaning and keeping a good eye on the engine itself. And then going down the center stack, which is the bulk of the upgrades, we start with a new audio panel, so that's the Garmin GMA 342. The heart of this panel would be the GNX 375, which is a WAS GPS navigator, and it is also a transponder that has both ADS-B in and out, so I can see other traffic as well as weather radar. And then for the communications and navigations bit, I have a GNC 255, a communication and navigation radio, and then below that is a GTR 225, which is solely a communication radio. And then to round out the picture, I have a mount with my iPad next to it to help with situational awareness as well as loading up instrument approach charts. Okay, so I'm going to go do a run up and take off, and then I'll tell you more about the functionality of the GI-275s once we're airborne.
All right, so the nice thing I like about the GI-275s, the pair, it's a dual installation of GI-275s, but in this case what you could see is, in reality, the one GI-275 replaces the entire six-pack of instruments on your airplane. So what I have in that top artificial attitude indicator is obviously the artificial attitude indicator, but I also have an airspeed indicator, an altitude indicator, a vertical speed indicator, as well as a compass heading and a turn and bank. So I'll point each of those out on here. And then a couple of the other things you have is you also have trend vector. So if you look at the altitude right now, you can see that we're climbing at 500 feet a minute, which is indicated by the number below the altitude. There's also that purple or magenta trend vector that's also showing you the trend. Airspeed's constant, so you're not going to see a lot in that regard. But if I should level out here, we'll let the airspeed climb, and you'll start to see that that trend vector is also indicated, and that's what your climb rate's going to be. The other thing you have, which you don't have in a regular attitude indicator, is that green flight path vector indicator. So that takes into account wind direction, speed, and all that, and it's showing you where the airplane is actually going to. So that helps you with your crosswind component. So let's look at the GI 275 in detail. So I'm kind of just rattling through stuff. So we'll start with the top. Obviously, this is your bank indicator, and so that is standard and attitude, any attitude indicator. But you also have there your turn and bank indicator. So the first way what you see is your turn indicator, which, so if I were to make a left turn, you can see that little airplane arrow there is basically telling you that that's where a standard rate turn is. And then below that, you have a diamond and the slash mark, and that slash mark is essentially showing you your slip indicator. So if I'm stepping on the rudder, you can see that line underneath moving in and out from under there, saying that you're not in trim flight. Okay. Then at the bottom of this indicator, you also have your heading indicator, so you can still see which heading you're on. So in essence, you don't need the HSI below. You have all that in there. And then overlaying above the heading indicator is your navigation vector. So in this case, we have a GPS coordinate turned in there, and so it is showing that. If I push the button on the bottom GI-275, I can turn it to a VOR, and what that's going to show you is, one, it's in green instead of magenta, so you know it's a VOR. And then secondly, it also shows you the station identifier, so you know that right now it's tuned to the Huguenot VOR. And then at the bottom, I'll go through the bottom indicator later, but I can basically, turn in whatever track or radial that I want, and then that indicator will also show in the chart. Okay. So with that, on that note, so we go down to the bottom HSI. It's a standard HSI as you would expect, but it's also digital, so it has a couple other attributes to it that you would not have in a regular HSI. The first one is it does show you what your true airspeed, so that takes temperature and calculates what your true airspeed versus your indicated airspeed. So right now we're showing a true airspeed of 103. Our indicated airspeed is 97, and then we also know we have a 13-knot tailwind, and we're only at 2,500 feet, or less than 2,500 feet, so that's not helping a lot. Anyway, getting back to the HSI portion of the GI-275, okay, so you have your heading indicator right above the, your heading indicator arrow, which is right above the heading on the top there. Then you see that little purple diamond. What that diamond is showing you is also reflecting what direction the airplane is going as it accounts for crosswind and all the other things that are impacting that flight. And then at the bottom, so the center of your HSI, you obviously have an indicator that tells you right now it's a magenta, so that's sign number 1, you're on GPS, but it also has a GPS indicator. It tells you what our waypoint is, so right now I have 47 November, and it shows you your track, your distance, and your time and route. Now obviously, and then on the bottom it also shows you your heading and your course. So when it's in GPS, I can't change the course, but I can obviously change the heading. The reason why I'm not flying directly to the airport is I'm basically setting up for the downwind leg as I get closer. So I'll hit a direct to in a little bit, and we'll follow the path there. But obviously with where my diamond is up above, I'm obviously, if I want to follow a trend, I put that diamond on the top of the arrow, whether it's a GPS or CDI, and that will take me to the location, or to the track that I need. So if I push the CDI button, so now that tunes to the VOR. In this case, I can either select heading or course. In this case, if I hit course, I can dial in what radial I'm in, and that will take me direct to the VOR station. Or if I was told to fly an outbound course at a certain course heading, I could dial that in and then intercept and then follow it out on that radial. In addition to the standard HSI, I can turn to this HSI map, which gives us a lot more information. So as you can see here, when you're looking at the map, there is an aircraft somewhere at our 11 o'clock that is 1,500 feet below us. You could also see the outline of the Trenton class Delta airspace.
Traffic 200 turning right downwind, Heritage.
And then you can also see what our, basically an indicator showing what our track heading is in the purple arrow, and then you see the purple line, which is actually the track itself. And so that way you can see what our relative position is relative to that track. Now if I were to go, and at the bottom here it tells you that we're 3 miles off that track. If I were to push the CDI button, it will show you, again, the radial that we have programmed in there, and then we could track the radial both on the bottom of this GI-275 as well as the attitude indicator GI-275. And if I zoom in a little bit on the map, I think we'll obviously
200, right downwind 28.
also get more details as to what's around us. I typically don't fly in the map that often. I tend to just go with the standard HSI. That's more my preference in flying. But if we go back to the HSI, the other thing I'll show you is, I think at our distance we're not going to see anything just yet, but in a few minutes here we should see another airport pop up on the track vector, which will be Princeton Airport. So on that note, what's also nice about these GI-275s, I have synthetic vision on them. So in addition to basically the landmark projection on here, you'll also get other callouts, like if there's other traffic in the air, we will see those depicted on there as diamonds, white diamonds in the sky. You'll also see superimposed on the horizon line the heading. So right there is 090 heading, and then right next to that you see an indicator, and that's
traffic 200, right base 28.
And that's Princeton Airport, so it's kind of showing you where that is. So just a quick, easy way to pick up key landmarks while you're flying.
Traffic 5 chicken 9632 hotel 7.5 to the southwest and Falcon Field.
I'm just going to climb a little bit so that way I stay a little bit out of Princeton's traffic pattern.
Curtis traffic 200, final 28.
And so one of the last things I'll do here is, as we come into Central Jersey Airport, I'm going to put in the visual landing cues into the GPS, which will also portray. It'll give you a basic guidance like you would for a instrument approach. So it'll give. In most airports, they'll give you both a localizer type indicator as well as a glide slope. If memory serves right, I don't think Central Jersey has one, a visual path guidance bar on this approach, but I'm almost certain Doylestown does. So when we head back to Doylestown, I'll film that. You can see right there next to the 120, there is traffic out there. He's at our same altitude.
2049 is starting a right turn to join the left down.
So I'm going to go ahead and start descending so we're not on a collision path. I'm also going to make a quick announcement.
Traffic, 12 o'clock, same altitude, 2 miles.
And Central Jersey traffic, Tomahawk is about 9 miles. We'll be entering a 45 entry to the downwind runway 25, Central Jersey. Okay, so as you can see here, that traffic's close, so it's highlighted in yellow, both on the top and bottom. I am descending, so hopefully he sees that. He's no factor now. I got a visual on him as well. But yeah, it kind of shows you where it helps with good visual awareness. Okay, so I'm going to go direct to Central Jersey now.
County traffic, Sierra 60 Foxtrot Romeo is on the localizer 29. I'm about 8 miles out. It'll be a low approach only, Chester County.
I'm going to go back to the standard HSI. Okay, so all I got to do to go direct to the airport is put the diamond on the arrow. So if I put the diamond on the arrow, that will take us to that vector point. In this case, it's Central Jersey Airport.
To the northeast, to the north ramp, looking for traffic. Go you can.
Okay, so we're about 2 miles from the airport. I am going to go ahead and hit the visual approach for visual 25. And I'm going to activate that. So that's now going to show up on the GPS. It's currently suspended because we're not on the actual approach path itself.
And if you go to the GI 275 up top, you can actually see on the synthetic vision the runway depiction as well.
Central Jersey traffic, Tomahawks turning left base, runway 25, Central Jersey. Okay, so we're below 1,000 feet, or we're at 800 feet. Hey, turn and final. Central Jersey traffic, Tomahawks turning final, runway 25, Central Jersey. Okay, flaps are full. Overshot just a wee bit, but it's okay. Not bad, actually. Okay, power's coming out. And then where I could use the map a lot of the times if I go on to a on the airport, I will use that to help guide us.
Since I'd like to close all my videos with the landing, here's one where I'm depicting the visual approach indicator again, but this one has a glide slope indicator as well. So this is my landing into Doylestown. So as you can see on the GI 275s, there's both the vertical guidance as well as the lateral guidance to the runway. And the last thing I want to point out is with the synthetic vision, you also get a depiction of the runway, which really helps with landings because all you have to do is put the flight path vector onto the runway, and that gets you to that runway even when you have limited visibility. As always, I hope you enjoy these videos. Please click like and subscribe, and hope to see you again soon.